Good evening and welcome. Tonight we are going to be looking at the night sky in August. We'll look at the northern hemisphere, then the southern hemisphere. Then we'll take a deeper look into one of the constellations that's visible at this time of the year, and then we'll look a little bit more about space in general. I love the sounds this book makes. I'm like obsessed. Anyway, let's read about northern hemisphere stars. It says, the summer triangle is your starting point for tours of the August skies. It consists of the stars Vega in Lyra. Let's see. We have, isn't this Lyra? Yeah, Vega in Lyra. Deneb in Cygnus, which is right here, and Altair in Aquila. So, triangle. Can you see it? So, Vega in Lyra, Deneb in Cygnus, and Altair in Aquila. Once you have located these, you can pick out other constellations. A line from Deneb through Vega brings you to Hercules. So let's see. Deneb is this one. Through Aquila brings you to Hercules. Oops. It was Deneb through Vega. My bad, not Aquila. Deneb through Vega takes you to Hercules. There we go. That's more like it. Then take a line from Altair through Vega, and you will find a small rectangle known as the head of Draco. Let's see. Right here, the head of Draco. This is at one end of the long trail of stars that seems to curl around Polaris. Let's read about Draco. It says, Draco's named after a mythical dragon. The star Alpha, named Thuban, I think it's Thuban, is not the brightest in the constellation. Gamma, an orange star named Eltanen, is in the dragon's head, is the brightest. And then there's Hercules. It says, the hero of Greek mythology, Hercules was set 12 tasks. One of these tasks was to slay a dragon, represented in the nearby constellation of Draco. Hercules is shown kneeling in the stars, upside down in the northern hemisphere, with one foot on the dragon's head. The globular cluster M13 lies within the 4 stars called the Keystone. I think that must be this. Did you know? When the Egyptian pyramids were being built around 2800 BCE, Thuban was the pole star. Some believe that an inclined passageway in the Great Pyramid was aligned on the star. However, the alignment is not accurate. It misses the pole by 3 degrees. Hercules is pictured holding a club above his head and a magical lion skin that made him invincible. Let's look at the southern hemisphere. Let's flip this. Flip this over carefully. There we go. The southern hemisphere stars. There's the night sky. Look at this big Milky Way right across the middle. Oh, and look, it says, with the Milky Way high in the sky and long winter evenings, this is a good time to study the nebulas and star clusters scattered along it in constellations such as Scutum, Corona Australis, and Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus. I think that's how you pronounce it. The first 2 are small star patterns on either side of the stars of Sagittarius. Let's see if I can find their Scutum. What was the other one? Corona Australis. That's easy because it's really pretty. This one. Let's see. Ophiuchus is a much larger constellation, mostly to the west of the Milky Way. Let's see what it is over here. It contains several distinctive pairs of stars that are easy to spot. Let's read about Ophiuchus. I'll never get it right. In legend, Ophiuchus, also known as the serpent bearer, was Asclepius, the Greek god of medicine. Its double star 70 Ophiuchi is visible with a moderate-sized telescope. Over a period of years, you can see that its stars are slowly moving apart. Wow. Then there's Corona Australis, which is really cool. It has this big hook. The main feature of Corona Australis, meaning southern crown, is its distinctive arc of stars. These stars form a wreath shape and were seen by the Greeks as the wreath from the head of the centaur Sagittarius. Then we have Scutum. This small constellation was devised by the Polish astronomer Johannes Hevelius. It was originally called Scutum Sobieski, meaning Sobieski's shield, and named after a Polish king, John Sobieski. Delta Scuti, a pulsating giant star, lies 900 light years away and is visible with binoculars. Alright, let's carefully move this book again. Listen to its wonderful binding. There we go. Okay, we got it. So let's learn a little bit more about Sagittarius, which on this page over here you can see a really gorgeous photograph of this area of the constellation. Really, really pretty. Those bright stars. Let's see, Sagittarius. There we go. It says the constellation of Sagittarius, the Archer, offers a richer display of star fields, clusters, and nebulas than any other constellation. The center of the Milky Way galaxy lies within the borders of Sagittarius, and as a result, this area is brilliantly illuminated. In Greek mythology, the entire constellation depicts Crotus the centaur, half man, half horse, firing his bow. The arrow is aiming at a scorpion, which is represented by neighboring Scorpius. However, stargazers in the southern hemisphere usually recognize Sagittarius by a group of 8 stars taking a shape known as the teapot. That's how I learned how to find Sagittarius in the sky. You look for the teapot shape. Steam appears to rise from the spout thanks to a star cloud. Let's read about the Lagoon M8 and the Trifid nebulas of M20. This is the Lagoon Nebula, the Trifid. I don't know if it's Trifid or Trifid, but going with Trifid. Anyway, most nebulas are given attractive names because of their appearance through a telescope. The Lagoon Nebula lies in the east of Sagittarius and is named after the dark pools visible in its center. I'm guessing these. Trifid is Latin for cleft in 3, and the Trifid Nebula has 3 dark lines of dust crossing it. I guess there's 1, 2, 3 maybe. I don't see a third. I guess that's it. Although the Trifid is too faint to see, the lagoon is clearly visible to the naked eye. The true colors of nebulas cannot be seen with a telescope, but photographs capture them accurately. This is the Omega Nebula, M17. It's really pretty. Viewed with a small telescope, this nebula has the shape of a Greek letter omega. Do you see it? I kind of don't, but okay. It's similar to a horseshoe. It is a cloud of glowing gas about 5,000 light years away. And down here talks about star clouds. You can see this is M24, and this is the Milky Way, apparently, it says. There are 2 star clouds in Sagittarius. The larger one, pictured on the opposite page, that's what this is right here, forms the brightest part of the Milky Way and is easily visible in most skies. The smaller M24 could have been mistaken for a comet. This was why Messier included it in his catalog. We'll talk about him in a second. He's right here. One of my favorite astronomers, TBH. M24 appears as a hazy rectangle until a telescope's view transforms it into a great mass of stars. Within the cloud, there is also an open cluster of 30 stars known as NGC 6603. Let's read about Charles Messier, a guy that got so annoyed at the sky that he just started naming things. It says, French astronomer Charles Messier was a comet hunter, but he kept mistaking misty objects in the sky for comets. To prevent this, he made a catalog of other objects. Today, the brightest nebulas, clusters, and galaxies still have the M numbers Messier gave them. I like that. I think he's cool. All right, let's learn about the moon. Probably next to Earth, my favorite thing in the sky. Let's say it would be Earth and the moon, then probably Jupiter, I think, is the most fascinating. It's so pretty. Anyway, the moon. The moon is Earth's natural satellite, a body of rock orbiting our planet as it travels around the sun. A quarter the size of Earth and only 238,000 miles away, the moon appears as the largest object in our night sky. Major features on its surface are clearly visible to the naked eye. Interesting features of this barren world include mountain ranges, lava plains, and craters. However, we only see the near side of the moon. Over billions of years, Earth's gravitational pull has slowed the moon's rotation so that now one side is permanently locked facing Earth. The moon has no atmosphere to protect it from the sun. It therefore gets incredibly hot during the day and freezing cold at night. That's a really cool map. In my big atlas that I show you all the countries in, it has a map of the moon and a map of Mars, but it's gigantic compared to this one. One day I'll show it to you. A cratered world. This big crater. It says the moon's craters are the result of billions and billions of years of bombardment by space debris. This typical crater on the moon's far side is 50 miles across, so a large city such as New York would easily fit inside it. Isn't that wild? Since there is no air on the moon, the only weathering comes from particles and dust from space, so craters hardly change for millions of years. There's a little thing here talking about the Mars. Not M-A-R-S Mars, but the oceans, the Mar, plural Mars. The moon's dark areas are basins created by huge impacts early in its history. They're filled with solidified lava. Let's see, it says tides and the moon. The moon's gravitational pull on Earth has a dramatic effect on our oceans. On the side of Earth nearest to the moon, gravitational forces are at their strongest. This causes the water on that side to bulge out. An equal bulge occurs on the opposite side where the forces are weaker. As Earth rotates each day, the bulges remain, causing sea levels to rise and fall. Alright, let's learn about the phases of the moon. Put this down very carefully. There we go. Put this down very carefully. There, perfect. The phases of the moon. The moon takes just under 30 days to go through its familiar cycle of phases. During that time, it appears to change shape because we can only see the moon's surface where it is lit up by the sun. As the moon travels around its orbit, the different areas on the side of the moon facing the Earth come into the sunlight. So let's see. There's the sun, and here's the moon's face. It's going around the Earth. And their view from the Earth. So it says new moon. At true new moon, the moon is in line with the sun and cannot be seen. Here's a crescent. A thin crescent after sunset is often referred to as a new moon. That's odd. Okay. Here's the first quarter. The moon is now a quarter of the way around the orbit. This is a waxing gibbous. So the trick to remembering waxing and waning, the difference between them is that you think of dipping a candle into the wax. And the more you dip the candle, the bigger the candle gets, the more wax it gets. So when you have a waxing moon, that means it's growing bigger. That's how you remember. Waxing gibbous. Gibbous means hump-shaped, and waxing means that it is growing. Here's the full moon. The near side of the moon is fully illuminated. Then here's the waning gibbous. Waning means that it is shrinking after being full. Kind of like weaning, huh? Like when you're weaning off something. Anyway, the last quarter, the moon is now 3/4 of the way around the orbit. Then back to another crescent, sometimes called the old moon. A crescent is visible just before sunset. It talks about eclipse and earth shine. Occasionally, the full moon passes through Earth's shadow and we see a lunar eclipse. It goes reddish in color as some light filters through Earth's atmosphere. When the moon is crescent, you may see the rest of its globe because the sunlight reflected back from Earth. Because of sunlight reflected back from Earth, I got it. This is called earth shine. Isn't that beautiful? Earth shine. And this is what a lunar eclipse looks like, all red and spooky. There's a list of lunar eclipses. You can see that's how old this book is. It's pretty old. When we get to the part about Pluto, there's no photographs because no one had seen what Pluto really looked like then. Man on the moon. The moon is the only world beyond Earth that humans have visited. Between 1969 and 1972, 6 American Apollo space missions landed successfully. On each mission, 1 astronaut stayed in orbit, while the 2 others explored the surface. Sorry for that really loud car. Okay. Car's gone now. The downside's to living next to a stoplight. Anyway, here's the lunar module. It was home to the Apollo astronauts for up to 3 days while they carried out experiments. There's a little rover and the American flag that's on the moon. I wonder if this is the picture because they like put a string on it and like pulled it to make it look like it was flapping because there's no wind. It was just more dramatic for TV. I wonder like he's like pull, make it flap. Anyway. If you're a moon denier, moon landing denier, whatever, just unsubscribe from my channel because I'm not about that at all. I like science. I like science a lot. But anyway, that's enough for this. For the month at least. I'll see you in September. Why don't we take a sneak peek? If you're still awake, let's see what we're going to learn about in September. Ooh, who's this? It looks like Cygnus. It's Cygnus, the swan. And we're going to learn about the inner planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video relaxing and educational. And I hope that you have a very good